Hi friends. So today what we are going to do is we are going to learn how to use Visual Studio Code with ServiceNow. First thing you have to do is go to code.visualstudio.com, the link which you are seeing on my screen here. Go there, download it based on what kind of machine which you are using. If you are using a Mac, use this. If you are using a Windows, use the right installable downloaded. Right. Once downloaded, follow the instructions to just get that installed. Right. And once I have done already, so I do have my Visual Studio Code installed on my machine. So this is how it looks like. Uh, Let me maximize it. Let me close the workspace here. Don't save. It's all gone. So this is how the Visual Studio Code, once after the installation is done, it looks like this, right? So the next thing what we have to do is we have to install the extension for ServiceNow, right? So for that, you go to uh, the click on the cogwheel icon here and go to the extensions. Click on extensions and you have an option here to search for what you need to install. For example, ServiceNow, you just type ServiceNow, right? You get to see a lot of extensions which is available on the VS Code editor. So what we are interested here is a ServiceNow extension for VS Code. This is by ServiceNow itself. So you just click on install. Once it is installed, you don't see this install icon here. So you just go and install it, right? So I've already installed it on the Visual Studio Code, which I'm using. I already have the extension enabled, right? So this is how it looks like. So once installed, you would see, or you also get a preview of what it offers. So this is how this actually shows you the steps how to configure it, right? So that's what it is you're seeing on the screen. Once you select the plugin or the extension, you get to see this, right? So let me walk you through what exactly this is doing here. So once installed, you will have an option to disable or uninstall, right? So you go back here, right? So now the first thing is we have to set up a workspace for your ServiceNow instance, right? So what you do is you go back to the this cog wheel, or you could just click on Command Shift P. I think in Windows it would be the Windows Shift P, right? So here you get to see all the commands which the ServiceNow plugin which we have installed offers, right? So here we have this now create new project. The first one is create new project. The second one is now set up now workspace. What we are interested as a first step after the installation is that we need to set up a workspace first, right? So you click on set up now workspace, right? So it'll take you to the your local drive where you need to say that, okay, this is where I need to set up my right. So I select the project folder as this one. So once that is done, right, so the color of this the window changes here, right? So if you have noticed, it changed from blue to green. Now once we have selected the workspace, the next thing is that we have to create a project, right? So you click on create project, and what you need to do next is you have to uh, select your URL, what you need to point it to that, right? So let me get that. So this is my instance. So I have got my instance here. Now coming back, now you enter the URL, right? To do that, right? So I've just removed the last slash, right? So now click on basic, right? So that is a basic authentication which you are selecting there, right? So now let me type the password, mine is admin, right? And you put in your password there. I've just pasted the password for admin, right? So you get a message on the down bottom here on your right hand side. You say the success, you are authenticated. Sometimes you will notice that it will fail, and one thing which I have noticed is that, right, uh, if you don't give the URL in the right format, it will give you invalid authentication error, right? So now let's go to the custom application. Since this is for this Visual Studio Code extension works for the scoped applications, so you can go to custom application. So I have already created one dummy custom scoped, one scoped application on my instance. So I'm going to click on custom application, import existing, and this is the scoped application which I have created, so which is called as office request, right? So I click on that, then you get all these options like what you need to import, right? So I go by default, right? So they click OK. So it'll give you a message that the project imported, and it will also show you the update sets, which it is. Today I'm on default office request, right? Now, if I collapse or expand these, the VS Code, I get the custom application, the scoped application name, and then expand it further. You get to see the background scripts. There is something by default. You could write something, anything here, right? So you could say, right, WGR, like, and you could say incident, right? I could say query, right? gr set limit 5, gr.query, gr.next, .info, gr.number, right? And this is how there are two options. There are two play buttons which you see. One is run the background script within the scoped application scope, and the other one is run the background script within the global scope. So I can run any of these against incidents. So if I run the second one, which is within the private scope, see this, you get to see the results here, right? So under the source, you get to see the different kind of objects which you have created in your scoped application. So I have created nothing much. It's just an access control, which is a role which I have created. And I also will have a table which is created for office request application. Other than that, I don't have anything else as of now. So I could just go create some scripts. If I say, if I go to my, right, continue, let me show you what exactly I'm going to do with the different objects which I create on the custom application, right? So let me pull that on the screen. So this is my studio, right? So I do have a few things here. So I could say, right, I could say create a script include record, right? So I have the script include here, right? So now I would say I would call the script include something like office request, check security something, right? So I would create some function like a zap admin, something which I'm interested to check if whether the logged in user is contains the app admin user role or not. I would write my logic here, whatever the logic or conditions which I need to check. So basically, I'm saying that the logged in user should have this user role, right, which is an admin user role, right? So something like this. I click on save, right? And now, how do I see this? I have created this object in ServiceNow platform. How do I see it on my Visual Studio, right? So usually if you don't have any changes here, you could easily do this sync project. So what happens is it tries to synchronize the project which we have created in the VS Code, right? If something is missing here on the code editor here, it would go and pick it up from the studio and bring it here. And if some changes here, which you do not, you have to be very careful when you are doing the sync project. I don't want you don't have to override things which you don't want it to be overwritten on your platform, right? So you should be very careful when you are doing the sync project, right? So I've created that script include, which I've created here. It is available here under the Office Server Development Script includes. You should see that same thing here, right? Um, so in order to test this, if you make any changes further, right? So if I say changed uh, change the code and VS Code, right? I have changed it. I saved it. Now, how do I do this? I can just alone synchronize this file just by clicking on sync file. If I click on sync file, it'll alone synchronize this particular file to the platform. So if I look at my platform here, right? So see this, the code and VS Code is available here. So I like to develop using VS Code. Uh, it's it gives as a developer it gives you a better way of coding rather than using this very plain uh, the code editor within the platform, right? So I always prefer to use VS Code, and this is how this is very basic. You have a lot of functionalities here. The VS Code provides you. There are a lot of shortcuts which you want if you want while working on. If you want to use a lot of the shortcuts, if you're a keyboard person, then you could go to code preferences and keyboard shortcuts. You could see a lot of shortcuts which you could use while coding, right? Um, so this is a few one of the utility which I use while working with ServiceNow, right? There is one more other utility which I use, and I also recommend developers to use that, which I'll cover in some other video. Thank you.